Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are actually going to make a craft using the Cricut and some of the things you can see here. So the first thing I did was I have a blank 10 by 10 inch piece of wood, and I just used the Cricut to cut out a map of my island of Cape Breton. Then I just placed it on the board using double-sided tape, and I drew on where I would like some holes. And as you can see, I've already pre-drilled the holes, so I used my trusty drill and I just carefully pre-drilled each of the holes. Then I took my sander, and this you can get at the dollar store or maybe the Dollar Tree if you have a Dollar Tree around you. And it is a nail file. I purchased it at my local dollar store for $4. Comes with a number of different heads, but I like this metal. See if I can focus that in for you. It's like a cuticle tip. There we go. And I use that to file out any of the pieces of wood that might be splintered up on this blank. So I just turn it on and literally file it, and then inside the hole, that point is perfect for that. And then I flip the board around, and of course it splinters more when you're coming from the front side to the back. So as you can see, pardon me, on this hole, let's see if we can get the light right here. This hole here has a bit of splinter. Can you see that? So I'll just use this, and I find this perfect for this job. Just has the right amount of power. See, it's just coming off there. And then I'll go in from the back side too, just to make sure that there's no splintering in the hole itself. And then any wood flakes that are around, I just tap them off, and all done. So I have a number of holes, like I said, pre-drilled, and what I'm going to do now is I do have my templates done. So I have the paper template on the product. Then I printed out with the Cricut the same map. You can't see it. I'm going to weed it on camera for you. This is a stencil, a smart stencil from Cricut. Not sponsored. Then I made the signage that will go on the sign itself. So it says Home of Our Hearts, Cape Breton, in a nice Celtic font. And this will be the backing. This is also a stencil that I'll lay after I get the base done. So let's get started. I'm going to just put some music on for you, speed this up, because I'm sure this can take me a few hours. I forgot to mention, I'm also going to be putting these fairy lights. That's why I drilled the holes. So this is a small battery pack. You can purchase this on Amazon. I believe there's a number of pieces that come in the pack. My friend actually purchased it and then gave me a few. That's how I have just one. So it has a small battery in the back that you can remove these screws and access to change the battery. But they're very bright. So I am going to use my trusty glue gun, and I am actually going to glue these batteries, or the battery pack and the lights, to the back of the sign. So when they're actually on there, see if I could just place a few with my fingers to show you. When they're on there, it'll give light like stars around the island. That's my goal. So let's get to it. have my drop sheet, kind of an old cardboard box. Use this for painting often, you can tell. Got my acrylic Craft Smart black paint. I think I got that at either the dollar store or Michael's. An old dish of the brushes I use for black paint, so just dry them out a little bit on the cardboard before I start with them. So that's a detail brush, another detail brush, oh, and a thicker brush. So I'm just dabbing them off to get some excess water out of them. And I always use these for black, so that's why I don't just wash them out. I just keep them in the black water. Don't come for me if you think that's terrible. It's just what I do. They're cheap brushes. Okay. So because I'm a little lazy, here's what we're going to do. First, get that off. We're just going to dab the black paint all over the surface. Just like that. And now I'm literally just going to take this semi-wet black brush . So I believe this is dry. Well, yeah, because it's stuck. There we go. Have to do a little maintenance on the bottom, a little cleanup. That's okay. We'll do that. But that's what it's looking like. You can see the stencil underneath. And I was thinking another coat, but that's pretty good coverage. You can still see a little bit of the grain underneath, and that's okay. I kind of want that. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the stencil. So with removal, you're going to want your weeding tool. And if I wanted to reuse this stencil, I'd have to be very careful in removing, maybe put transfer tape over it again. But I'm okay not to reuse it. I have it on my design space, so if I really wanted to, I could reprint this. So let's give it. Okay, so I think that's good. What do you guys think? I think that turned out really nice. I like the wood underneath for the island versus having the island black and this part wood. I like the reverse. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that so this is dry. Not much. Maybe I will give it a few more minutes. It's a little bit of a transfer. Yeah, a little. Like my holiday nails. Anyway, so I'll give it a few more minutes and then we'll get going on the lights. But while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to print out the new one of these, which is going to go roughly here. But I need this part to be what I paint. So I have to reprint it and weed out this versus the backing. So let's get to that. Now, for those of you just starting with your Cricut, what you really should do is grab yourself a clear, let me refocus this, hold on. Okay, better. So grab yourself a clear shoebox. This is just what they call a shoebox. Hi, Max. What? You see light? And this is what I keep all my scraps in. So as you can see, I have some stencil scraps. I think I have a small piece that would suffice. I got all my scraps in here. I keep everything because you never know. Even transfer tape blocks, because you just never know what you might, even the very first test cut when I got my Cricut, because I might be able to use some of that vinyl. Okay, so the only two pieces of stencil I have available to me are these two pieces. So I could cut this one down, but I think this one, it's too long. But if I look at this, I can actually get two fair-sized pieces out of this one. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'll cut it here, and instead of using my slicer, which cuts your vinyl really neat, I'm just going to use my Cricut scissors to cut it about here. So I'm just going to cut up in a fairly straight line. Then remeasure. Perfect. So let me get this redone. What I'm also going to do is, I'm not going to discard this. You never know. I might want to use this to paint around it and then put letters where the stencil is instead. So I'm going to keep this because, like I said, you never know. And this is what the big stencil for the map was on. And I did mention that this is great if you're using a glue gun or something like that. You want to rest it on this because it's reflective and it's really good for that. So I'll keep that piece in there as well. Put this away and get this cut out. Alright, so sneak peek of my vision board for this year, and I'll do a video on how I do this. But let's go to our Cricut design space. Let me just wheel in here so I can access it without reaching. Grab my trusty coffee. Alright, so here is the actual saying that I printed out. So that's what's going to go on that map. But what I want to see is the offset. My computer is very old, so sometimes it lags. To do what I'm doing, you don't need a new computer. You just need something that works, and hopefully this will start working. Okay, let me get this going and then we'll be back. All right, so I think I got this working. It took a dog's age, but there we go. So I just had it hidden. So you hit the eye on the side. Again, if you're new to Cricut, that's where you do it. Then this is the offset to my letters. So when I put it behind, see if I can zoom you in there. Okay. Let me just grab everything, move it into frame better for you. There we go. So as you can see, let me change the group to a brighter color so it's better, easier for you to see. There. So the offset, the black offset in behind, that is what I'm going to paint onto the wood. So I'm going to paint that black onto the wood and then put the words on top so that everything pops with a shadow in behind. What do you think? So let's get that offset reprinted and cut out onto the stencil. So let's zoom you out again. I'm going to use this stencil. Excuse the lighting, it's a little dark in here. So I'm going to use the stencil and let's get that set. All right, and because I'm using a piece of Smart Stencil, I am going to put it on a mat, and that mat, so I'm going to put this stencil on my mat, and it doesn't matter if I'm up above the ruler line or not, but I just want to put it on and smooth it in so it adheres to the mat. Okay, and now we're going to put it into the Cricut. So let's go over there and see that. This is my Cricut. It's a Cricut Maker 3. So I can do all kinds of things on my Cricut. Okay, so we're ready to load. You just want to put it in and press the button and let it do its thing. All right, so we're ready. You can see the flashing button. That means I can offload this now. So let me move you a little bit out of the way. All right. So let's press that button and discharge the product. There. Perfect. could probably make this work. So this is now the stencil for that sign. So let's get the sign back in here. We have this ready to go, so I'm just gonna put this together, put that to the side, because we want to do our lights before we do any more stenciling. Now I like to clean as I go, so I'm going to take all this away. There's our sign. Okay, and as you remember, it's a beautiful map of
home from Cecil's funeral. Oh, God rest his soul. I got rear-ended by Norm. Go figure. Oh, that was him. Look at those muscles. Oh, he was as dumb as a stick, but a real bobcat in the sack.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your second officer speaking. We're having some technical difficulties, and we're going to be diverting our flight to Omaha today.
What?
We expect to be at the gate in a line in 15 minutes.
You're asking, right?
Doing everything we can to continue with the flight.
I'm not sure.
Rise if there's no further changes that we make.
I was dreaming, lady. Cheerleaders everywhere. You wrecked it.
It's still my turn. Still my turn. You don't understand. I have to get to Aspen. I'm getting married in 3 days. I do understand, but all of our flights today are booked solid. What about tomorrow? Same thing. I can waitlist you if you like. Well, there must be some way to get there. I mean, oh, I know. I'll drive. Good luck. You won't find a rental car this time of year. Look, the best thing that we can offer you is a return flight to Chicago. No, I'm not going back. Is there a bus? There must be a bus station. Well, yes. Oh, he was tormented in grade school.
Why do you say that?
Well, because of cooties, you know. Surely you're not saying you've never heard of.
Can't get that in an airplane, can you?
You have to move there so you can have these all the time.
So your card's right. I might even take you to the International Hubcap Museum.
Good luck, that. Hey, Dad, I'm gonna take Toby for a walk.
Okay. He's chasing rabbits. You could be in Wyoming by now. We'll have more luck if all three of us look. Come on.
Sure.
Come on. It's jumping!
all right. This is what the lights come in. They just come wrapped like this. Good thing I had a spare one. So they're all wrapped up. I have to take it apart. They just twist. And one more. And then they uncoil. Just takes a little bit to get them uncoiled. It's like untangling a necklace. All right. There we go. And then I just stretch.
Do you know that you have an infestation of mice or
like there's 3 bugs in the rug.
Well, it certainly is cozy.
Well, I'll let you get settled. If you need anything else, name's Chava. I'll let you settle up in the morning. Thank you.
I told you 3 times the dress needs to be in Aspen by the 23rd. Yeah, you do that.
Mississippi.
How do you know that?
Saw on a sign when we came in.
Okay. Got you guys these.
All right, so that's what it looks like with the light shining through the holes. Let me zoom you out a little bit more. There. What do you think? I love it as is, but I'm still going to add my words. Let me shut off these lights, flip it back over, and let's add the stencil. So I glued these in place as well, so they're not going to move. You just switch them off like that. And if you need to replace the batteries inside, you just unscrew it and replace the batteries. Easy peasy. Okay, so let's get our next stencil placed. Okay, so I have the stencil laid out, and the paint I'm going to use for this is the black, but I'm also going to mix black with some rose gold just to give it a little bit of shimmer, because it will be topped with the gold vinyl. Make sure I'm not getting it on the black, which I think right here I just did. So while it's wet, I'm gonna do my best, but if I got a little bit, then I will use the black to cover that over when I'm all done. So again, I'm gently, very gently going over this to make sure I covered all the letters and there's no ridges on my paint. Okay, that looks good to me. Soluble, it'll wash right off. Now let's take a closer look. So we have a little bit up here, a little black touch up here, and a little bit that I got on the bottom there. Otherwise, it looks good. All right, so now we're going to touch this up. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. All right, now let that dry. All right, so all of this is dry, and we're going to transfer the last portion, which is our actual vinyl, onto the project. So first, pardon me, I'm going to cut the words right through the middle, because as you can see, they don't line up currently the way they are. So this goes on the top, and this one goes on the bottom. So let's get that done first. And this doesn't need to be exactly straight, it just needs to be in between all the words. Okay. Now, I have them separate. They can go in their proper order, which is like that. So let's get the bottom one set first, and then I'll do the smaller one, which is the top, the smaller font. Is we need to adhere the letters to the transfer tape, and then flip it over, do the back side as well, and then peel up from the back. I find this works the best when you're doing, pardon me, when you're doing transfers. Okay. So it's the delicate art of this bee, which is a Celtic knot, same as the C. So I expect the C is going to be tricky as well. Okay. There we go. So usually peeling up from, flipping it over and peeling it upwards, or peeling the transfer tape away, works better for me, but this seems to be working okay. Okay, now the second detail with the Celtic knot. So this is a Celtic font called Paul's. I'll link it in the description, that I got off DaFont for free. When you're doing personalized things, you can get a lot of free fonts, and there are some that are commercial license free as well. All right, so I have that up. It's really pretty, nice gold permanent vinyl. Move this out of the way, bring this back into the frame. I'll zoom you in for this. Okay. Okay. There we go. Perfect. So now I want to just place this over, just hovering over where I painted the shadow. And that looks good. So once I got where I think it looks the best, I'm just going to place it down and then gently rub with my finger the letters, pushing them on without putting the transfer tape down too snugly over the black. And gently peeling it away, because I only press lightly with my finger. I want to make sure these letters are actually adhered. There we go. So that is exactly what I'm looking for. So even though the process did take a little bit for putting this stencil on, painting the whole thing, then the lights and the holes all around, and then painting this stencil and adhering the lettering. So let's get the second set of lettering on there. So again, I'm just going to put this into the frame so you can see it. Doing the same thing. And now I'm going to pull it away. Let's see how some of it doesn't come up. And it's only giving me issues because I'm using old transfer tape. If I use new transfer tape all the time, it wouldn't be so difficult. There we go. That one worked to flip it over. Okay, so let's get this back in frame for you. Zoom you back in. All right, so the same idea. You want to take the lettering and hover it over your print area or your painted area until you have it set where you'd like it. And then you can, oh, that one shifted. Let's try that again. There we go. Oh. There we go. So that is complete. I'll put the transfer tape back on that piece I had. Put that to the side. And there we have it. The project is complete. We have the gold on top of that. What color do we want to call that? That's the rose gold mixed with the black, so I guess it's like a charcoal silver. Now let's turn the lights on and take a look. So this is the full project. Thanks for watching. See you again, friends.